Bombs fall on Zaporizhzhia, a deadly missile tears through Volgograd, and Poland slams the door on Kyiv. Washington quietly builds a new nuclear warhead. In Venezuela, the death toll keeps climbing. Iran draws a hard line on Lebanon. Russia arms itself with killer AI drones. Germany sounds the alarm on Moscow, and Iran prepares a funeral unlike anything the world has seen. Before we jump into today's news, hit that subscribe button right now. In just a few minutes, we'll bring you the biggest stories from around the world, so you stay informed without wasting hours scrolling through the news. One short video, all the headlines that matter. Subscribe now and stay one step ahead. Terror struck from the skies over Zaporizhzhia. Russia unleashed a wave of glide bombs on the Ukrainian city, killing at least 2 people and wounding 15 others. Regional Governor Ivan Fedorov confirmed on Telegram that Russian forces dropped 7 glide bombs on the city over a 90-minute stretch of relentless bombardment. Zaporizhzhia has been battered by Russian air raids again and again throughout this war, and tonight the city is once more counting its wounded. A fireball ripped through a Russian military production hub deep behind the front lines. Ukraine's domestically built Flamingo missile slammed into the Titan Barricade Research and Production Center in Volgograd, more than 300 miles from the battlefield. The long-range weapon, only in service since last autumn, sparked a major fire on impact. President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the strike, calling the facility a legitimate target for Ukraine's long-range campaign against Russia's war machine. A stunning blow to Kyiv's military hopes, Poland has refused to hand over its MiG-29 fighter jets to Ukraine. Polish Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz revealed that Warsaw is walking away from the long-discussed transfer, accusing Kyiv of failing to honor agreements already struck. Poland says it was promised drone production technology and counter-drone systems in exchange for the jets. Technology, it says, it never received. With Ukrainian commitments unmet, Poland says it is no longer ready to part with its MiGs, throwing the future of the deal into uncertainty. For the first time in nearly 40 years, the United States is building a brand new nuclear warhead. The weapon is designed for submarine-launched missiles and is being developed alongside a modernized ballistic missile, together meant to guarantee America's strategic strike power at sea well into the second half of the century. The upgrade comes as the U.S. Navy shifts from its aging Ohio-class submarines to the new Columbia-class missile carriers. The current missile has run out of room for further life extensions, its components simply too old for the new fleet. This is only one piece of a far larger overhaul. Washington is now rebuilding its entire nuclear arsenal, on land, at sea, and in the air, with new versions rolling out over the next decade. Catastrophe still grips Venezuela. The earthquake death toll has climbed to nearly 1,943, while the number of injured has almost doubled, now surpassing 10,500 people. Rescue teams are still pulling survivors from the wreckage. On Tuesday, a 3-year-old boy was pulled out alive 6 days after the quake first struck. Venezuela's National Assembly president says nearly 6,500 people have now been rescued from the rubble in La Guaira, the worst-hit region north of the capital, Caracas. Entire neighborhoods remain buried, and hope is fading with every passing hour. A dramatic ultimatum out of Tehran. Iran has declared that Lebanon must be settled before it will move forward into final negotiations with the United States, warning it will not budge until key terms of a recently signed memorandum are put into action. Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, revealed that the U.S. and Lebanon have agreed to form a committee to oversee the end of the war in Lebanon and protect Lebanese sovereignty. But Tehran is making clear that talks hinge on it. Moscow is arming its war machine with artificial intelligence. Russia's defense ministry has confirmed it will begin fielding a new generation of AI-powered drones this fall, with the military already shifting toward AI technology to identify targets, lock onto them automatically, and navigate the battlefield. Neural networks are being trained constantly using data pouring in from every Russian military unit. The plan does not stop there. AI is now being built directly into Russia's air defense systems, with the project set to be completed by year's end and first results expected as early as November. Ukraine is turning up the heat on Russia's economic lifeline. Kyiv's defense ministry released a striking graphic detailing a relentless string of strikes on Russian oil infrastructure through the entire month of June, hitting facilities on 17 of the month's 30 days. And the warning that followed was chilling in its simplicity. June's done. July's calendar is already loading. A blunt warning from Berlin. Germany's Interior Minister, Alexander Dobrindt, has declared Russia the greatest threat facing the country, saying hostile foreign states pose a daily danger to German security, and that the single biggest threat now comes directly from the Russian Federation. Dobrindt revealed that Russian intelligence services are increasingly deploying so-called disposable agents to carry out sabotage and espionage on German soil. He said authorities are watching closely and that the number of successful operations to stop these plots is rising. Iran is preparing for a funeral on a scale never before seen in its history. 6 days of state mourning are set to begin for Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, nearly 4 months after he was killed in the opening strikes launched by the United States and Israel on February 28th. Ceremonies will unfold across 5 cities in Iran and Iraq. Officials say the delay was caused by the war and the negotiations that followed, with the funeral now timed to a period of relative calm as talks continue over the Strait of Hormuz and nuclear sanctions. Tonight, a dramatic procession will move 10 kilometers through the heart of Tehran, with the city's mayor estimating that as many as 27 million people could take part. The mourning period will close on July 9th with Khamenei's final burial in his native city, a defiant message from Israel. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reiterated that Israeli forces will remain in southern Lebanon for as long as Iran-backed Hezbollah continues to pose a threat. Visiting troops on the ground on Tuesday, Netanyahu declared that Israel will not withdraw until that threat is gone, adding that Iran and Hezbollah no longer belong in the region and calling on them to leave. His comments come just days after Lebanon and Israel signed a U.S.-sponsored framework agreement. Britain is preparing one of its largest military buildups in decades. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has announced an additional £15 billion for defence, with the UK's annual military spending set to surge to nearly £80 billion by 2029. To fund it, road and energy projects will be delayed or scrapped outright. London is also launching a £50 billion export fund to help British arms manufacturers expand across the globe, with defense contracts now prioritizing domestic companies. A move the government says could create almost 60,000 new jobs. Among the flagship investments, an £8.6 billion commitment to the international program developing the next-generation Tempest fighter jet alongside Italy and Japan. Europe's killer heatwave has claimed a staggering toll. Roughly 1,300 people across the continent have died in just the past week as extreme temperatures hit an estimated 150 million people. Schools have shut their doors in country after country, and power grids are straining under the load. France, Germany, Spain, Italy, and Britain have all been engulfed by the blistering heat, and officials warn that vast numbers of European buildings simply were not built for this. The European Commission says Europe is now heating up twice as fast as the rest of the planet, prompting the UN to work with governments to shore up strained healthcare systems. Germany's Green Party is sounding the alarm over the deadly heat. Bundestag Green co-chair Katharina Droga is demanding an emergency program to install air conditioning in hospitals, schools, kindergartens, and nursing homes, warning that abnormal heat has been quietly killing elderly citizens for more than a year. She says the new temperature records must serve as a wake-up call for Chancellor Friedrich Merz. Under the Green proposal, state funding for air conditioning would only go to buildings that also install solar panels, since hot days are exactly when solar panels generate the most power. The party wants the plan financed out of a special €500 billion infrastructure fund, alongside a push for public drinking fountains on the streets. A high-stakes standoff is unfolding between two economic giants. China and the European Union have held talks amid escalating trade tensions, discussing what Reuters describes as sensitive and unresolved issues. Beijing has already warned Europe that it is prepared to withstand a deeper rupture in relations, and is even ready for a full freeze in trade with the EU if necessary. China accuses Brussels of rewriting trade rules specifically to shut Chinese companies out of European markets. With disputes ranging from trade restrictions to access to critical resources, the EU's trade commissioner says both sides now have until autumn to find real results, or risk the relationship spiraling further. That is tonight's bulletin. Stay with us for more as these stories continue to develop.